Hey, welcome into the Snap Fantasy Football Podcast. It's your host, Mac, today joined by my co-host, Landon, and we're talking about keep, trade, cut. Some maybe underperformers or overperformers that you're not sure what to do with. We're going to be talking about 4 key individuals on this show, wide receivers to be exact. Lando, I'm going to kick the first one to you. We're going to talk about DJ Moore right now, Carolina Panthers wide receiver, living in the shadows of Robbie Anderson, currently the wide receiver 35, whereas Robbie Anderson, the new acquisition to this team and Teddy Bridgewater's favorite weapon, comes in at wide receiver 12. Are you a little scared about DJ Moore and his production so far? And would you keep, trade, or cut DJ Moore based on the first 4 games of the season?
Can you believe that we're talking about dropping a guy like DJ Moore, who some analysts has at a top 10 wide receiver on the season? But this is where we're at after 4 weeks, Mac, and I'm nervous. Don't get me. I am nervous. If you have DJ Moore on your team, you're not winning fantasy football matchups right now. He's hurt you more than he's helped you.
Oh, I am, Lando. I got DJ Moore on a team where I am 4-0.
Hey, listen, Mac. Not everyone is as lucky as you. A lot of the listeners here are really struggling with DJ Moore right now. And to be honest, Mac, if I'm talking about DJ Moore, I need to try to shop DJ Moore. This has got to be, you know what? I can't even shop him because he's not worth much right now. I'm keeping DJ Moore because I'm definitely not dropping him. I'm keeping him on my team. I'm not going to shop him, selling him low. We'll never recommend you selling someone low like DJ Moore, but he's going on my bench. I'm not starting him. I would rather start Robbie Anderson right now than DJ Moore.
I mean, recency bias would say that is the correct move. However, when we juxtapose Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore, they are about an equal target share, 25% for Robbie, 23.5% for DJ Moore. DJ Moore is also 12th in targets with 32, 12th in air yards with 103 per game, and 20th in receptions at 18. I know DJ had the one big game and a couple underwhelming, but he's been involved throughout the first 4 games. There might be some growing pains there with Teddy Bridgewater. That chemistry might not be there yet, but DJ Moore is the most talented wide receiver in this core. I'm going to keep him as well. I still believe that there is a chance for DJ Moore to ascend to a top 12 wide receiver. We've seen guys like Keenan Allen have a really slow start in years past, and then boom, the second half of the season. I'm willing to wait this one out. Don't cut him by any means, and trading, like Landon said, would be super low value. Another guy that's go ahead.
I was going to say DJ needs more touchdowns before I'm willing to put him as a top 12 wide receiver.
And DJ Moore to me almost has like that Julio Jones syndrome, if you want to call it that. Through his first couple seasons in the league, only 6 touchdowns for DJ Moore. So this guy has a little bit of a problem getting into the end zone. So that touchdown upside doesn't exist, but Julio Jones, it doesn't exist either, and he's been quite solid for fantasy. Marquise Brown, the Baltimore Ravens wide receiver 1, comes in at wide receiver 51 overall through 4 games. I am going to be keeping Marquise Brown, but I want to hear what your answer is first, Landon.
Mac, I'm willing to trade Marquise Brown because he's on a team the Baltimore Ravens still have the perception of being an elite offense. And I don't know if Lamar is going to be elite passer right now. We saw his rushing ability against Washington, and that's how they won that game. I really liked Lamar in a lot of tournament lineups because I thought he was going to establish his running ability. And you know what? This past week, we saw a year-high 8 targets for Marquise Brown, and I think that might be his high for the season, potentially. So I'm willing to trade Marquise Brown because he still has a lot of name recognition, especially in that Baltimore offense.
Yeah, and I'm also willing to trade Marquise Brown for a couple reasons. This team continues to want to run the football, and Gus Edwards has been more involved than we thought, but J.K. Dobbins will be worked into this offense eventually, And so far, it's been a steady diet of that running game, whether it's been Lamar or Mark Ingram, Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins. That is going to continue to be a thing. They're also featuring their tight ends in their office. They run the second most 2 tight end sets in the league at a 35% rate. And in that time, they are throwing to their tight ends more than the wide receivers. They're also featuring 1 wide receiver sets 20% of the time, where they are running heavily in those situations. So for me, just the way that they're using their wide receivers, Marquise Brown is a boom or bust play. And like Landon said, has that name recognition. So I'm willing to trade him away or sweeten a deal with him in order to get somebody back that has a little bit more week-to-week value.
And Mac, the reason people are here, AJ Green, Cincinnati wide receiver, the big name. We haven't seen him in a couple of years, but he is still healthy. And you know what, Mac? He is top 3.
I haven't seen him at all this year, Landon.
Well, I mean, you haven't seen him on the stat sheet really, but he is 3rd in the league in air yards. His actual air yards for the season is only 119 yards for the season, but his expected 2020 air yards is reaching that 300-yard point. This guy is seeing targets, but really he hasn't had a chance to even catch them. He's had 14 catches, but really expected catches is only closer to 18. So he's only dropped 4 targets his way. So Joe Burrow just isn't throwing impossible catches. What do you do with this big name in an offense that people like Joe Burrow in? But what do you do? Can you drop AJ Green to the waiver wire and just let him be a bomb on someone else's roster?
I'm not sure if you can do that, and I'm also not sure if you can pass catches, Lando. I don't know if that's a thing. Couldn't let you get away with that one. No, the thing with AJ Green, kind of like Marquise Brown, AJ Green has the name recognition. He has been a perennial all-star for the majority of his career. But when you break down this wide receiving core for Joe Burrow, and don't get me wrong, Joe Burrow has looked really, really impressive. I liked what I've seen and finally got a win under his belt. But it was on the back of Joe Mixon, who Zach Taylor's now giving. He finally got the 20-plus carries that we've been wanting Joe Mixon to get. Giovanni Bernard stopped being that pass catcher on 3rd down, but 19% to AJ Green target share, 20% to Tyler Boyd, 16% to T. Higgins, who's ascending up that depth chart. And then the running backs have 15%, and Drew Sample has 10%. So that ball is very widely spread across the offense. And T. Higgins, actually, from an air yards perspective, is just as impressive as AJ Green, but is doing more with the ball. So moving forward, I'm willing to disguise AJ Green in in a package deal, just kind of put him in there to sweeten the deal just a little bit, get a little bit more value out of it, because I'm not willing to take a shot that AJ Green will be a consistent fantasy asset for me. The targets have been there, but the production has not. I'm not willing to wait on AJ Green.
This is the time right now. While you're watching this video, if you have AJ Green on your roster, you need to send him out to people owning Devontae Adams, Julio Jones, and Michael Thomas, potentially. Those owners right now have gotten bad weeks from their wide receivers. This is your chance to get maybe a decent wide receiver or a good running back and put AJ Green in that offer to sweeten the deal, like Mackenzie said, and get him off your squad, because pretty soon he might just be a 32-year-old wash running back that literally nobody wants.
And this player I never thought we'd talk about in this light. I thought last year was an outlier season for him after his first 4 were wide receiver 1 seasons. But Brandin Cooks of the Houston Texans, the start in Houston has not been star-studded for him. And so far, he's the wide receiver 82 on the season. Deshaun Watson was openly questioned after the game, where he only saw 3 targets. He ran 39 of 40, 39 routes on 40 dropbacks. He was on the field, and Brandin Cooks should be a prime target for Deshaun Watson, and he was not found. Deshaun Watson said that the Minnesota Vikings scheme removed Brandin Cooks and other wide receiving options as playmakers. By the time he got back after second or third read, he just wasn't there. And that's how the game went. I kind of take that with a grain of salt because it doesn't discount the first 3 games where Brandin Cooks has also been super unproductive. The way I look at this, I'm not willing to start Brandin Cooks. And when I look at the next 3 matchups for him, Jacksonville, Tennessee, Green Bay, that is the 12th hardest schedule for fantasy wide receivers. I'm only really willing to start Will Fuller out of this lineup. And Brandin Cooks, to me, is a cut candidate.
I don't blame you. And I don't blame you, the listener, if you want to cut Brandin Cooks. He only saw 3 targets this past week and only 5 the week before. It was rough for Brandin Cooks. But what I'm going to say as a caveat is that the Houston Texans let go and they fired Bill O'Brien. I believe that this could be a psychological thing for this Houston Texans team, for Deshaun Watson and everyone involved, and they're about to go nuclear. They're about to show the Jacksonville Jaguars exactly who needs to win a football game, and that needs to include Brandin Cooks if they're going to play this. It can't be all on the shoulders of Deshaun Watson. So if there's any time to play Brandin Cooks, no, don't play him. Just kidding, don't play him. If you don't want to drop him, keep him on your bench. But I think this is the chance that Brandin Cooks actually has a good game. He's not going to be in your lineup, so he's not going to be good for fantasy. You might as well drop him. I don't know, Mac. This is a hard one for me. I don't want to drop Brandin Cooks, but I do have a little inkling of expectation that he goes big this week against Jacksonville.
He was wide receiver 61 last year. I gave him the benefit of the doubt as a down year, and this year has been even more disappointing after 4 straight seasons being a wide receiver 1. I'm out on Brandin Cooks, and I think it's time to move on. I am cutting him. So between those 4 options, I hope you guys got a little bit of insight as to what we would do or maybe what you should do with these players after 4 weeks in the NFL season. If you like the content here, hitting that like button goes a long way. Leaving us a comment if you want to know further what you should do with your specific players, leave us a comment down below. We'll tell you to keep, trade, or cut them. As well as consider hitting the subscribe button. It really helps out the channel, and we do these segments each and every week to help you win your leagues. You can also get us on social media at snap_fantasy. And until Sunday, where we do our live starts and sits every week before game time 11 until 12:45 Eastern, we will see you then. Take care and have a good week.